TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And coming up in today's video, we are going to be taking a look back at the game against Valencia. We are going to be analysing the mistakes that Barcelona made, but we're also going to be looking ahead to the very near future when Ousmane Dembele is ready to return, and how his return could be very, very key to Quique Setien, to the entire system, and how that may change what we saw against Valencia. All of that's coming up. Some analysis for you guys. We have to analyse, we have to move forward, starting right now. Let's do it. And if we first of all start by looking back to Saturday's game against Valencia, and this here was the starting lineup, and they played the majority of the game there at Mestalla, which of course didn't end well for Barcelona. And what I would just like to talk about is two different things. Number one, about that midfield penetration. We've heard a lot in the aftermath of that game that this midfield trio won't work, that they're not progressive enough, and they didn't take enough risks at Mestalla. And I agree there with the last part of that. Maybe at Mestalla they didn't take enough risks in their passing, they didn't penetrate Valencia enough, we didn't look forward on enough opportunities, but this midfield can still work, and we shouldn't judge it there just based on one single difficult away performance. And number two, I want to talk there about this right-hand side, about Ansu Fati. I want to talk there about the whole balance of the team, because if you look at it here, that's not exactly what we saw against Valencia, because as you know, under Quique Setien so far, you've got Umtiti here almost as the left centre-back, you've got Gerard Piqué there playing as the central centre-back, and then you've got Sergio Roberto, who's going to slot in there on the right-hand side. Now, you can understand what Quique Setien is trying to do there, because he's basically saying, of the two full-backs, the one that I want to have most attacking output is going to be Jordi Alba. He's the man there that I want to go forward. It also works well with Antoine Griezmann, because Griezmann then can come inside, whereby vacating all of that space there on the left-hand side for Jordi Alba, who, as we know, going forward can certainly cause problems, and that's a very good thing. Now, on the left-hand side, we were very, very good, but Valencia, of course, knew that's what we were going to do. And because of that, as we're going to see, as we're going to come on to, what they did was they shielded that left-hand side of Barcelona very, very well, and they also packed there the central areas to stop Antoine Griezmann and to stop Lionel Messi. And what that meant was, we then had a real problem, because on this right-hand side, you had Sergio Roberto, who was tucking in, therefore going forward, he wasn't really that active. Not many times did he actually there overlap Ansu Fati. Not many times there did we get ourselves into a 2-on-1 situation. Instead there, Roberto was much deeper, and that basically meant Ansu was out there on his own basically on the right-hand side, and it also put a lot more pressure on Frenkie de Jong there to go and help him out, to be shifted there out of position, and as we all know, Frenkie didn't exactly cover himself in glory on Saturday. And we're going to be talking more about what Dembele could add if we put him on the right-hand side in just a moment, but I also want to talk there about that midfield, because I want to say here, like I say, they didn't take enough risks, we absolutely know that, but it's not just about the midfield. You can't just say there, the midfield didn't do well enough because they didn't play enough forward passes, they didn't pick out the strikers, they didn't make good passes, because it's a two-way thing. It's not just there about the midfield picking up the ball and playing some brilliant balls. You've also got to have the movement. You've got to have Griezmann getting into good areas. You've got to have Messi here, not only dropping in, but also there trying to move into some good positions too. And you've got to have Ansu Fati making some intelligent runs. You need a bit of movement to pick them out. If the movement isn't there, if the cohesion isn't there between midfield and attack, things can break down, and it is a two-way thing. We've got to bear that in mind. It's not just on the midfield to make those openings. The attackers have got to move, they've got to move into space, they've got to dummy run, they've got to go in behind, they've got to check their run. You've got to try and do as much as you possibly can to give that midfield a number of options. And just like I alluded to there, guys, about making that mood, about finding that space in those central areas with the attacking players, what Valencia did very, very well in this game, as you can see here, with all of these screenshots, they packed the middle of the field. What they really, really did well was shut down all of our attacks by doing that, because we didn't offer enough threat in the wider areas. On the left-hand side, yes, you had Jordi Alba, but how many times did we see Ansu Fati pick up the ball here, and he was left pretty much on his own? He was out there on his own, there was no Sergio Roberto that close to him, he wasn't overlapping, and he only had Gaia. He was the only man quite often to beat, but Ansu Fati, he's 17 years old, and this is not a criticism of Ansu Fati, because because he's just turned 17. This is a young player here who, quite frankly, being played game in, game out, is slightly now out of his depth. He's still growing as a player. He doesn't deserve here to be having to play every single minute. We should have more options in these attacking areas, and that's why Dembele is going to be such a big part when he comes back. Because just have a look here and imagine Ousmane Dembele in this kind of situation. Because as you can see there, all of the bodies are closing down Griezmann, closing down Messi, closing down De Jong. Valencia there have got 6 players in that central vicinity, and the only player out wide is Gaia. It's a 1 versus 1. And you imagine there Ousmane Dembele. Now what they would do in that scenario is either leave it 1v1, you take a massive risk if you leave Dembele 1 versus 1, because if you find him then, he can beat his man, he could be in on goal. Or, most likely, they drag another man across. They drag somebody else out there, and of course when you do that, then you create the space, a little bit more room for Messi and for Griezmann, and it means that central area is not going to be so congested. You can see it again here, Ansu Fati left 1 versus 1 with Gaia. Again, we're not even looking to play the ball to Ansu, we're not even looking there to find him in those wide areas. We basically just ignored that space, and it was an entire wing completely wasted there by Barcelona. You didn't really see Ansu Fati in the game try and beat Gaia, try and actually get past him most of the time. It was looking at Gaia, squaring him up, and then it was a pass back to Sergio Roberto, and that happened time and time again. And like I say here, it's not a criticism of Ansu Fati, it's just about imagining there that providing, that's the big part of course, providing Dembele can come back, can stay fit, what could he do in these kind of 1 versus 1 battles? He's going to get in behind, he's going to get beyond his man, and once he's in there, you trust Dembele there to find that final ball, to actually there unlock a defence. We need somebody there who's got pace, who's got power, who's going to stay wide, who's really going to drag teams out, expose some more space to create that for Lionel Messi, to create that there for Antoine Griezmann, and that would be a big answer there to many of the questions we have in that attacking area, because you know that Barcelona right now, we're struggling to break teams down, we're struggling there to actually unlock teams when it comes to passing in and around the area, but of course the big problem is, we've got Messi, we've got Griezmann, we're lacking there in a number 9. We still have to take into account here, we've lost Luis Suarez. Now Suarez came under a number of criticisms at Barcelona, but what did he do? He scored goals. Every single game, even if he didn't play well, he still scored goals, and we're missing that. We desperately need now Dembele to come in, to play on that right-hand side, to hurt teams, to open teams up, to find final passes, to open up spaces. We may well have a number 9 join Barcelona too. That would be a massive bonus for us. But it's all about there, dragging defences one way, dragging them the other way, and ultimately not being all down one side. Not just being there, down the left-hand side, going through Jordi Alba time and time again, because teams will know that. They will understand that. You will get predictable. And that's one thing at Barcelona that we have to avoid. We don't want to be predictable. We want to be able to go left, right, centre, any way. We need to have that threat. And before we do end this video today, guys, what I do want to say is Quique Setien doesn't want us to play the way that we did on Saturday. A lot of people now are saying that Quique Setien's methods are not for Barcelona. We shouldn't be playing this way. What is he doing? He's the wrong man for Barcelona. And of course, there's going to be criticism after we lost that game there against Valencia. And look, we didn't play well, but Setien doesn't want us to play like that. That is not the way that Quique Setien wants to play football. And don't just take my word for it. After the game on Saturday, he said those exact words. He said some things right now the players are doing, they're not quite carrying out the ideas. They're not quite having everything on board. And maybe he said we need to explain things a little more clearly to them. He said positionally, there's things that we need to do better. He said at Mestalla, we've given many meaningless passes. He said we don't like having the ball just for the sake of having it. We don't want to play that kind of way. When we have the ball, we need to do something with it. So people seem to believe that Setien just wants us to have the ball and play it side to side to side and then back, and that's what Setien wants to do. It's not. He doesn't want to play that way. What you saw out there on Saturday is not something we're going to see every single week. Right now, we're focusing on bringing the possession back to Barcelona, but like I say, now we've got that control, now the players have that awareness, now it's about turning that into chances, about turning that into penetration, and given time, I still maintain belief, I still have faith that Quique Setien can get it right at Barcelona, and Dembele's return will be massive for him, and also any forward that we manage to sign in the coming days. And as always, guys, please do let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you make of the overall performance at Mestalla? What do you think we need to correct from that game? And what gives you positivity, perhaps, moving into the future? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below. I will see you soon with some more videos. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!